Hey, hi, hello. Today we're in a publisher's in London called Hachette. Where are we?
So we're on the roof terrace. I was just saying that we moved into this building 3 years ago, and this is the first time we've ever had snow on the roof, so it's pretty neat. Usually, it's beautiful and green. My name is Paddy Johnston. I am the Group Communications Manager at Hachette UK, which is a very big publishing group. Second biggest publishing group in the UK after Penguin Random House. Hachette is the kind of parent company of a bunch of other companies that you might have heard of. Hachette is the company that owns all of those companies, and then they have their own kind of publishing autonomy, and within them there are over 50 imprints as well.
Great, and what do you actually do for Hachette?
A lot of my job is actually making all of the publishing divisions talk to each other and collaborate on bigger projects. So, for example, next week we have what's called our annual showcase, town hall meeting, CEO talking to staff, presentations from authors and about upcoming books. So I'm making sure that everyone's collaborating on that, pulling all that together.
And how did you get into the job that you're in, / into publishing in general?
I studied English literature at the University of Exeter, and then I did a master's degree in creative writing right after. I ended up working for this engineering company in their HR department. While I was there, I started working on internal communication, which was then how I ended up coming into this job, because I started here to do only internal communication, and I kept applying for roles in publishing because I felt like it was what I wanted to do, and I eventually got the right one because I had some transferable skills.
Is this the job that you want to do, or is there a 5-year goal of something you'd like to do in publishing?
I definitely want to stick with Hachette and kind of really help Hachette grow, but I have a lot of other things going on. So I do like a weekly film podcast, and I also run my own publishing company, which is called Good Comics. So we're like a small, what we call a micro publisher. And right now we are just about breaking even, but if one of those other things was to really take off, then maybe that could become my day job as well. But no, I do a weekly film podcast, which is called Big Boys Don't Cry.
And you review different romantic films of the past or of like current age or?
Anytime. Yeah, it's really, really good fun, and people seem to really, really like it.
Last year, you were also doing a PhD in comic book studies, writing comics and organising a wedding whilst working full-time. Talk to us.
So I did my PhD part-time while I was working here. My PhD thesis was on how comics get made, who makes comics and why, and how the economics of it works, which is something I find endlessly fascinating.
So from your PhD in comic book studies, how would you either go about creating a comic?
What I learned from doing a PhD in comics is that there's very little money in comics, apart from superhero comics, which are very, very interesting. So what's considered that kind of mainstream comics, your Marvel and DC stuff, that they're kind of corporate giants that make a lot of money, but there's this whole kind of amazing comics industry around that where not very people are making much money. And it's never been easier to self-publish either. So either to put your stuff up online or just get comics printed quite cheaply and sell them. And there are a lot of great comic shops that will sell self-published stuff. But with Good Comics, the interesting thing is that a lot of the people that we've published have kind of been putting their work online for a while, but we've gone and collected it into print. People still are so invested in print.
What is this?
One thing that I really like is making niche memes. So if you go and listen to the podcast, you'll understand this. Episode 10, we talked about the film The Bridges of Madison County, and I sort of liked it, okay, and Rob really hated it. So it's like a running joke in our podcast that I'm like always trying to make him watch The Bridges of Madison County again. There's a few memes, so if you keep going, there's another one as well. This one's a bit more complex.
Wow.
You go, intelligent film analysis is over there. It's like we might get to it, we might not. And there's Rob, and he always wants to talk about Guy Fieri. He presents a show called Diners, Drive-Ins and Dives on the Food Network in the US, and he's just the most positive person in the world. And there's me throwing out some jokes about a film from 30 episodes ago.
Wow.
And then there's our patient and loyal listeners
who are just waiting for. Wow. Oh, and then a little bit of a baker.
Yeah, I love to bake. So these are pretzel rolls.
Wow. How much do you bake?
Again, I try and make about one thing every week, but sometimes I get really into it and then I bake like 3 or 4 things in a day. I did a cake on the same day.
This one?
Yeah, did a chocolate cake on the same day. But yeah, it's an enjoyable thing, and that's a good creative outlet as well, because you're using your hands and your brain, but it's so different from reading or work or people or anything.
Sure. Great British Bake Off. Thoughts?
I enjoy Bake Off. I actually haven't watched it properly for quite a while because about 4 years ago I applied to be on it and was rejected.
Did you get through any of the?
I sent off the application form and then that was it. It was just an outright rejection.
Baseball memes?
Yeah, this is a real film. Air Bud 7th Inning Fetch. Are you aware of the Air Bud franchise?
No.
So it's basically, I think there are something like 9 films all about a dog who plays sports. So it's...
Have you seen all of them?
I have seen most of them, but not all of them.
Wow. When is it created?
In the 90s, I think.
I assume it's not a real dog, or...
There are about 4 or 5 real dogs, I think, on set who do some of the stuff, and then there's a bit of CGI and a bit of
loose
trickery.
CGI from back in the day.
So that's Toby Young, and that's Joss Whedon. I saved both of those pictures to save to Rob, who's my co-host on the podcast, just because I saw that picture of Joss Whedon and then I realised that he looks a little bit like a well-fed Toby Young.
They do look remarkably similar. I thought they were the same person, so exciting.
No, it's because next to that you got the artwork for my band's EP. Single, actually.
You're in a band?
Yeah. We're called Palomino Club. This is our most recent single, which is called Find Your Love, and our stuff is quite 80s. But we make a little bit of money, actually. We get royalties from like being played on the jukeboxes in Maplin, which is really, like, among other things. The one time I walked into Maplin on Tottenham Court Road and I heard my band's song coming over the radio, and I rushed up to the guy at the counter and I was like, "This is my band!" So lame. That's some garlic sauce and some brownie bites. I think those were just
together.
The two items that I bought at the co-op, and I think I texted that to my friend. I was like, "I'm in for a wild night."
There you go. So go and check out Paddy's podcast, which is called
Big Boys Don't Cry.
Big Boys Don't Cry.
Available on all good podcatchers, pod services, wherever you get your podcasts from. It'll be there.
Enjoy your weekends.
Night.